So what are two stocks which you can put in your watch list whereby we have seen some good bullish signals coming out from my system, the 1GT system, one good trend, alright, over the past few weeks, and it seems like there are still no exits, so you can potentially even look at these stocks and maybe even ride the upside even further. Hey guys, Joey here, top tier remisier in Phillip Securities, a chief trainer at Trading Impossible, right? So in today's video, I'll just share with you two stocks, and these two stocks are SPH, and in fact for SPH, I've just covered it about 2 weeks back. We'll look through it again, alright, and we still do not have any exit signal on SPH. So we kind of like look at the charts in terms of where we are right now compared to just 2 weeks back when I covered it, and if there are any exit signals on the system, right? So that's the first stock we'll cover, SPH, and the second stock we'll cover would be this company called China Sanxin, right? China Sanxin, that's what we'll cover as well. And we also had some good bullish signals that came out over the past few months. There were exits, but then it seems like there is a new bullish signal. Well, I'll share with you these two stocks, SPH and China Sanxin. Do stick around all the way to the end of this video because I think you're going to like what I got for you, all right? And you can potentially start thinking about loading up these stocks, kind of ride the upside further, alright, as long as some of those good support levels that I've talked about continue to hold. So this is SPH right here, currently trading at about $1.88, 1.88, and today is the 15th of April, it's 9:58 AM, alright, the market has just opened, alright, and this is where we are, right? So just about 2 weeks back, I mentioned that I did a video on it, that's why you can check it out on YouTube and Facebook. We were somewhere around here when we kind of broke this $1.40, which I talked about. We have been like pretty much capped below the 140, but we did see some really good bullish actions coming in just about 140, and that's where some upside targets were drawn, all right, all the way from 140 to 160, and we kind of revised our targets higher all the way to like $182 as well. So that was what happened over the past 2 weeks, right? So this is I would say you've kind of like pushed up by about more than 20-30% for SPH, and now it's about $1.88. So a lot of people are asking me, Joey, is it time to kind of like get out? I mean, what does your system say? Is it is there any exit signal and all that, right? So today we look at SPH. I mean, just in a few minutes time, we look at the system as well to probably take a look at the bullish signal that came out. I think I shared with you 2 weeks back as well that we had a bullish signal, all right, on SPH, and that was the reason why we were alerted to discounted in the first place. And let's see if there are any exits, right? So before I talk about that, right, let's go ahead to take a look at where we are, right? So what happens was we started to push up, and we broke that 150 level as well. All right, so from 140 we broke that 150. We got hit our target about 180, right? So it was like consolidating, all right, just about 2 weeks back. About 1 or 2 weeks back, you can see it was consolidating from like about $1.70 to 180. But over the past few days, it seems like we've kind of broke that $1.80 resistance level right here as well. So we can revise our targets higher all the way to about $2, the $2 psychological level. And why $2? Basically, number one, $2 is a psychological level, like $1, $2, $10. These are all pretty much psychological level, and we're looking at a lot of selling pressure coming in there, all right? And 190 is a bit of a temp resistance. I mean, right now we are at about 188, so 190, I mean, it's still a bit of a temporary resistance. But I think if we do get above, all right, when we do clear out this entire sellers at 190, 191, that's when $2 will come soon, all right, and potentially will come soon. And what happens is that's where we can see some profit taking coming back again at about $2, right? So $2, look at this, right? $2 was just where we were somewhere last year, right? Just before the pandemic happened and before we started to see the sell down. It was the support level. So now this support will become the resistance that we are kind of like attempting to kind of approach again, all right? And hopefully we get above $2 for the uptrend to really continue. All right, so this is SPH. So I mentioned in the previous video as well, since like somewhere around February, March, so there were already some signs of a good uptrend taking shape. And why do I say that? Look at this, right? So I mentioned about the moving averages all starting to turn up. You can look at this, right? The green line, which is the 20-day moving average, has started to turn up, and in fact, it kind of like crossed back up above the red line, the 100 days moving average, somewhere around November. But more importantly, what we can see is that this red line, the 100 days moving average red line, have kind of like went above the blue line, the 200 days moving average, somewhere here here in March, right? In fact, it's just like 12th of March, right? And that was where we kind of had the signal as well, right? So yeah, that was when there were some good signs of the uptrend really taking shape from like a down. I mean, all this while it was down, right? Even before the pandemic hit, somewhere in like 2018-19, it was pretty much in a downtrend. I mentioned, look at this, right? The red line have like crossed down below the blue line, and all this while the red line has been below the blue line. But what happens was just somewhere in March right here, this 100-day moving average line have gone back up above the blue line, which can potentially indicate that the trend might have turned from a down like 2 years or 3 years ago to a potential uptrend starting to happen. And that's what exactly we're seeing. Of course, we broke that 140, which would be an added confirmation of that move, of that uptrend really starting to kind of like form up. All right, so this is where we are at about 189. So my take is that, what happens is, I think if we do get above that 190, potentially $2 would be a psychological resistance, and that's where you can see some profit taking. So if you already kind of got it, I think it's good to make sure you protect your profits. You want to raise your stop loss upwards so that you just retrace back down probably below that 180. So 180 would be a good support. Now if you do retrace back down below 180, that is probably a level you can stop loss and get out. You still make money, right? Don't let it go all the way back down and back to square one, right? Okay, so that's not what you want to do. Okay, so this is SPH, and these are targets I draw. So let's take a look at what it says on the 1GT, one good trend system that I have. It kind of like guides me on when to get in and get out, and also kind of like alerted me to this counter in the first place. Okay guys, so this is SPH on the 1GT, or the one good trend system that I have that kind of like guides me on when to get in and get out, and also alerts me to counters like this in the first place. So I mentioned in the just about 2 weeks back that we actually had like kind of like a bullish signal right here, and I kind of like shared you in that video as well. Just on the 24th of March, we had like a bullish signal, and I think I did a video around here, so it kind of went up a bit and I did a video. Alright, and what happens was it started to continue to push up and up and up, and up, and all now, all right, what happens is we are at about 188 as I mentioned, all right, and there is still no exits, right? So I mentioned, we will probably want to take a look and see if there are exits that come out, but up to now, 2 weeks have passed, still no exits, right? So can there be more upside? Yes, potentially. As I mentioned, 190 would be a bit of a temp resistance. I think if you do get past that level, it might potentially hit to $2, and $2 we might probably see a bit of consolidation below. All right, and I know I'm not too sure whether exit will come out there. We might actually attempt to break $2, and we might even push higher. But that's where we can like kind of use a system to kind of guide us on when to exit, right? So in fact, for SPH, I mean, let me just do a quick run through again. As I say, even before the pandemic hit, somewhere in like 2018, 2017, we're pretty much in a downtrend, right? So there were a few bearish signals somewhere last. You can look at it like a red arrow pointing down. That's like a bearish signal. It kind of went down, exits, it went down. It's a bearish signal, went down, bearish signal, went down, blah blah blah. A couple of bearish signal right here, and prices pushed down a little bit more. But what happens was somewhere around here, as I mentioned, somewhere on this is 4th of Jan, right? So just at the beginning of the year. In fact, you can just take a look at this bar, this trend bar right over here. Again, there's this trend bar which I just call it Joey's trend bar. Okay, yeah, but pretty much you can see that the trend bar have like turned from like red, pretty much like red means like bearish, right? So it kind of turned from red to like green somewhere around here. All right, so kind of like green and dark green, different kind of like different strength of the uptrend. But yes, pretty much turned from like a downtrend to an uptrend, which I just mentioned just now, because there were some signs of the moving averages starting to turn up, crossing above one another bullishly, right? So that was where we started to see this trend bar turning green, and more importantly, somewhere around here, that was where we had the bullish signal came out right over here on the January 4th of Jan. We got an exit, we got another bullish signal, February 15th Feb went up, and this is the most recent bullish signal right here, 24th March. No exit, right? So this is SPH. Just wanted to share with you again what we are seeing on the system, and yeah, probably I'll take a look at it in the next 1 or 2 days or next week to see if there are any exits that comes up on SPH. So yes guys, if you like this video, be sure to give me an early thumbs up. It will definitely help out the channel, and thank you so much for doing this, right? So this is another stock I share with you called China Sunsin, and we did had a couple of bullish signals coming in over the past few months, and yeah, I want to cover in terms of the chart what it says right now, and then we kind of like dive into the system as well to see where were the bullish signals and if there are any exits, right? So this is China Sunsin right here, right? Currently trading at about 0.555, right? So about 0.56, and let's take a look, right? So you can see that, all this while for 2020, 2019, China Sunsin was pretty much like in a downtrend. All right, right over here you can see that the red line, the 100 days moving average was pretty much pointing down. But what happens was somewhere around like November, December, this red line, something like SPH, right? So to see the red line, the 100 days moving average kind of like cross back up above the blue line, the 200 days moving average. So that's a sign, all right, of the uptrend starting to take shape. Of course, we needed more confirmation regarding like price level, kind of like breach above that key price level, like for example that 40 cents, that would be a resistance level somewhere in November if you ask me. All right, so we kind of broke that 40 cents, we kind of broke that 45 cents, it became the support right here. All right, and it seems like all these good supports, whenever it breaks, it's still holding higher. All right, and that's where we can potentially see a bit more upside. All right, so this is where we are right now. So in terms of the near term, right, so yes, long term wise, as I say, we can actually see that the trend is pretty much up now, and we can also draw what we call an upward sloping, let me just draw this for you, right? You can upward sloping channel support line right here. Over the past, I would say, look at this, right? So yeah, over the past, I would say 6 months, since like September, October, past 6 months, we have been kind of like forming what we call higher lows, right? Higher lows whereby that's where prices have been holding above this like upward sloping channel support, which can kind of like indicate that the trend is pretty good forming up in terms of the uptrend taking shape. All right, so let me just remove this line, and we started to consolidate. You can see like from November to March, all right, pretty much above that 45 to 55, right? And why 55? Look at this, right, guys? 55 cents was pretty much the resistance all the way in 2019, right? Even before the pandemic hit, when it broke down that 50 cents and went all the way down here. So we're pretty much back to that level somewhere in 2019 December, where we come approach this 55 cents, right? This 50 cents, right? So it was consolidating 50 to 55, and look at this, right? So this is where we are right now at that 55 cents. Over the past few days, it seems like we're kind of like attempted to break that 55 cents, which is kind of like a good sign. And the fact is now we are still holding above this 55 cents level. So right now I would say that 55 cents would be a bit of a good support. Of course, 50 cents would be a better support in terms of the long term, still looking good. But in the short term, I think 55 cents is a good support level, and that's where if prices were to hold above, we can potentially see a bit more upside all the way to maybe about that 62 cents. And why 62? Look at this. This is pretty much the resistance that we've seen somewhere in 2019. So I'm kind of like projecting prices towards the next resistance, about 60 to 62 cents, which is about 10 to 11% upside from these current levels, right? So yes, so as long as these 55 cents would hold, I think the short term looks good, and trend indicators are still looking quite alright as well for now, right? So this is China Sunsin. So let's take a look at the 1GT system to see why we were kind of like alerted to this counter in the first place, and if there are any bullish signal and what does it say right now. Okay, so this is China Sunsin on the 1GT, or the one good trend system that I have that kind of like alerted me to this counter in the first place, and we kind of like had some good bullish signal coming in just right over here somewhere in November, when I mentioned that there were some signs of the trend kind of like turning from down to up, right? So that was when we kind of alerted to it, right over here, kind of like bullish, a green arrow pointing up, 1GT, one good trend. All right, so they pushed up by about 10 to 15%. We got an exit. You can see it started to consolidate, so not much of a move here. And then we got another bullish signal somewhere in February. It started to push up a bit. We got an exit. And more importantly, I want to share with you guys that just about 2 weeks back, somewhere on the 1st of April, all right, we got another 1GT bullish signal. All right, so are there any exits right now? No, it seems like there are still no exits right now. So yes, as I mentioned, guys, so there's no exit right now. I think it still looks good, as I say, above that 55 cents support level. So I think if we to hold above 55 cents, there will probably not be an exit that comes out, right? We might potentially see it push higher, maybe breaking that 58 level, probably a 10 resistance to push to like 60 to 62 cents, and that's where we might see a bit of profit taking coming back in again, right? But right now you can see this is where we are. We got like a 1GT bullish signal. Of course, we had like a few bullish signals as well. It went up, but right now there is a 1GT bullish, a green arrow pointing up. And of course, look at the trend bar, right? The trend bar you can see is pretty much in the uptrend since like November, when the moving averages all started to turn up. So we kind of like use this trend bar to kind of guide us as well in terms of the trend kind of like turning, or in terms of the trend strength and all that, right? So this is it, right? So yes, China Sunsin right here. We got a 1GT bullish signal. Current price is about 0.555, 0.56. no exits. So let's take a look and see, you know, when the exit might come. Probably in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, we'll take a look at it again and see if there are any exits and if there can potentially be a bit more upside. Alright guys, so thank you so much for watching and, you know, for staying all the way to here, and we have covered pretty much just these two stocks and SPH and China Sunsin. So I hope you have taken note of some of the key levels that I talk about in terms of the support levels, whereby, you know, if we do hold above, that's where the uptrend can potentially still continue further. And of course, we have kind of looked at the system, the 1GT system for each of them as well, and you kind of look at the signal that we had. So yeah, if you want to find out a bit more on, you know, how to have access to the system, how does it work, what's the concept, the framework behind the 1GT, the one good trend, alright, go ahead to kind of like click on the link below. I'll probably put the link below to attend like a free web class, a free webinar, whereby I will kind of like dive people into this framework before we look at some of the signals that we're getting from some of the stocks as well. Alright, and yes, that's what you can do, right? So attend a free web class if you still have not done so. Alright, we're kind of like holding it for probably a few more weeks. Alright, so that's where we'll close. So do kind of like register for this web class if you want to learn a bit more on how we kind of use a system to kind of guide us. But then again, we don't just want to use a system blindly, right? You want to understand like how it works, you want to understand the framework behind before using it, so it makes like much more sense. Makes sense, right? So that's how it works, right? So yeah, so attend a free web class to learn a bit more on the framework, the one good trend strategy and framework, and that's where I'll share with you a bit more, right? So thank you so much for watching. Joey here. I look forward to see you in the next video, and take care.